Hello, and welcome back to Traitors Expert. This is my final reaction to Traitors Ireland. So episodes 11 and 12, the penultimate episode and the finale. Kind of disappointed with how this series turned out. I think a lot of the most exciting stuff happened in the middle. And these last two episodes, they were still fun to watch, and I'm still very happy for who has won, which, spoilers, is Oyen, Vanessa and Kelly. But I just kind of wish that it was Pordy standing there. And maybe with his son. Pordy and his son winning as a father and son traitor team would have been maybe the perfect ending for this. For me. Considering that I felt like Pordy was the most fun character in there. And the way he battled against Caitlin and Eamon early on, and he succeeded and stayed in the game. The way he then recruited his own son. Like, how incredible would it have been if Pordy had won, and if he'd won there with his son by his side. But, yeah. I think overall this series has been amazing. But I think some of the best episodes were in the middle. So, Eamon going, Caitlin going immediately the night after, Andrew then going the day after that. Just all of that drama in the middle there. Who was going to get recruited? Andrew being recruited as a traitor. Yeah, father and son traitor team for one episode. All of those episodes were absolutely incredible and really, really fun to watch. And as soon as we kind of got into the Nick being the lead traitor role, it's not been as interesting, these final two episodes. He picked Ben as his recruited traitor, kind of the most obvious choice he could have done. I feel like Nick, I've been praising him for his game playing, his strategy, but there's been a few strategic decisions in these final two episodes which have led to their downfall. I think firstly, in episode 11, they chose to murder Wilkin, and basically their final murder was Wilkin. Why did they murder Wilkin? Obviously hindsight's a brilliant thing, but I don't understand why they didn't murder Oyen. Oyen has been an incredible player this entire season. Oyen has pretty much accurately seen everything that's happened. She predicted Eamon, Caitlin and Pordy were all traitors, and it was a traitor on traitor on traitor fight. She completely saw through Nick, and that Nick had first turned down the recruitment and then he got blackmailed. She completely saw that and mentioned it in the final round table. Oyen has been incredibly perceptive across the entire season, and that would have been obvious to Nick. Why didn't they kill Oyen as their final murder? I don't understand it. I don't understand that. Will, he was someone who people had been suspicious of, so he could have been voted out potentially. And even apart from that, he could have been someone that you could have swayed his opinion potentially. And the other problem was, and which is what led to Nick and Ben being voted out in the final episode, Vanessa and Oyen were very clearly a strong team. You know, they were best friends in the show, and they were working together a lot of the time. So you needed to break them up because they were very clearly a team in the final, votes. And it was clearly, Vanessa and Oyen versus Ben and Nick. And then the only factor to play was Kelly and which side Kelly was going to go for. They should never have let it got to that position. They should have got rid of Oyen instead of Will. So then Will would have been kind of on his own in the same way that Kelly is. So then you would have had Vanessa, Kelly and Will all kind of on their own. And ideally, and maybe it wouldn't have been possible, but ideally they should have tried to keep Faye in, because Faye was someone that was close to them, Nick and Ben, and was someone they could maybe get on side in the final more so than Kelly. So if they could have found a way of murdering Oyen instead of Will, and then convincing Will and maybe even Kelly to vote for Vanessa in the second to last day, then I think they could have won this. Because at that point they would have Faye on their side, who would have hopefully helped them vote. They would have then probably said, right, let's all vote for Will first in the final round table of the final. Got rid of Will, and then it would have just been a matter of Faye and Kelly versus Ben and Nick. And if Faye was definitely on side with Ben and Nick, they could have maybe got her to get rid of Kelly, and then maybe won. So there was a series of events which kind of led to them losing, and that was choosing Will instead of Oyen for the murder. Like I said, I don't understand it. So choosing Will for murder kind of started the downfall, and then Faye being voted out caused a real problem for them, because Faye was definitely, like I say, more in alliance with Nick and Ben. So then as soon as she's gone, they had to somehow convince Kelly, and it just wasn't working. I mean, it could have gone either way, maybe. Maybe there's a chance for Kelly would have sided with him, but it didn't work. And unfortunately, Nick and Ben were then systematically voted out. So, yeah, that is a shame for them too. So when we're talking about these final two episodes, obviously, yeah, Wilkin was the first one to get murdered. We then lost Faye at the round table in episode 11. That was so confusing. There's been some really confusing things that have happened where, especially with Joanna leaving, people have misremembered conversations. Like, these conversations, I think they all happened, but people have different interpretations of what happened in the conversations. And literally the word confused is said like 100 times in the round table for episode 11. So yeah, even as a viewer, like watching it, I started to not be able to follow what was going on. Like, people had different versions of stories and different conversations, and it was so confusing. But Faye was voted out in episode 11. She was voted out with 5 votes, and Oyen got 1. So obviously the boys kind of sided with Vanessa and Oyen and got rid of Faye. And like I say, that didn't help them in the final. And I think another thing which didn't help Nick and Ben when we're talking about how they lost this, they were too obviously working together. If they'd made it seem like they had differing opinions and they weren't sort of working as an alliance, then maybe there's a chance that when Nick was voted out, they would have then thought, let's keep Ben in. You know, Ben's not necessarily working with him. But they made it so obvious that those two are working together that when Nick goes and they find out he's a traitor, you might as well get rid of Ben as well, just to be on the safe side. So yeah, we obviously get into the final, and you can see immediately that Kelly is siding with Oyen and Vanessa. And as soon as you see that she's siding with them, it's kind of over for them too, because she was the swing vote and they needed her. And that's why I'm saying, if they had Faye instead of Kelly as the swing vote, then maybe they could have won this. But because it's Kelly, she sided with the girls. So it didn't look good for them immediately. And the girls were already kind of thinking like, oh, it's probably one of the guys, if not 2 of the guys. The mission in the final episode I quite enjoyed. I liked the idea that they had all the different elements and they were trying to collect all of them. And as soon as I started thinking about it, I was like, oh, air's one of the elements. That's going to be the helicopter bit in it. They always have a helicopter in these final episodes. But yeah, it was quite good. And I liked the giant crop circle that they did at the end. That was impressive. Like I say, you always want a bit of scale to these final missions, and there was some quite good scale in this. And I liked that tower they go up and how it went, like all the little water vapour things came out of it. Like, yeah, that was pretty good. But obviously, when we're looking at the final, we care about the votes and the final round tables and the fire pit and the drama of that. And this is where, like I say, it kind of played out how you expected it to. Nick gets voted out first. I mean, Oyen, she sees right through everything that's happened in this series. And I can see why people called her Oyen the Oracle, because she just knows exactly what's happened. She literally puts down on the table how Nick, they attempted to recruit him first, he said no, and then he got blackmailed and he said yes. She just saw right through him. It's really impressive what Oyen does in this. And yeah, there's even a great moment where Ben's trying to say about Oyen, like, oh, Pordy, maybe he would have recruited someone who's really good at getting rid of traitors. And then Oyen says, yeah, Nick. So even the points for the boys try and put back on the girls, they just throw them right back and say, no, you're proving my point, actually. So, yeah, unfortunately, Nick goes out with 3 votes and Vanessa gets 2. Yeah, like I said, I think they were doomed. As soon as they left Owen in the game, which I don't understand, they left Owen in the game and then Faye goes, the boys were doomed. There's maybe a version of this that could have worked out differently, like I said at the beginning, but as soon as those things happened, I think they were on a path to losing. So Nick goes. I do appreciate that Nick, he does throw a little grenade in right at the end when he says Pordy was half right, which I think is clever. I think he was doing Ben a favour there, and he was trying to maybe make it look like Vanessa was the other traitor, because I think Pordy voted Vanessa at one point, and obviously in his final vote he starts to write Vanessa and then he changed his mind and puts Nick. So I think the half right thing was hinting at that to try and get Vanessa out for Ben. And there was a little moment where you did kind of think, maybe they might turn on Vanessa a little bit, because her reaction to Nick leaving is very somber. She's very like depressed about the entire thing, and you do kind of see Oyen and Kelly kind of being like, "Oh, why are you two reacting like that to her and Ben?" And there was maybe a chance they might have gone, "That was a weird reaction. What Vanessa did? Maybe she is actually a traitor." But that did happen. They get rid of Ben instead. So Ben, when they then get to the fire pit, Ben is voted out first with 3 votes. Vanessa gets 1 vote, which is from Ben. And then there was a little question here of, are they going to end the game with those 3, or are they going to choose to vote out Kelly potentially, and then have Vanessa and Oyen as the sort of strong alliance at the end? But this is where it's kind of interesting compared to the UK show. In the UK show, these final episodes, the finale itself, it's all blind. So you vote out, your player, and they do not reveal if they're a traitor or faithful. And it's a little bit of a new change, like I think from series 3 onwards. But that creates a sort of paranoia in the players where they don't know if they've voted out the last traitors or not. Whereas in the Ireland version, they're revealing it. So they know that they've voted out 2 traitors in Nick and Ben. So then, like, from a mathematical point of view, you can kind of go, we've voted out 2 traitors. I mean, this series, they've been blooming brilliant at voting out traitors. So they've already voted out Eamon, Caitlin, Andrew, and Pordy. And now they've voted out Nick and Ben as well. Like, that's 6 traitors they've voted out at round tables or banishments. You can kind of go, right, we've probably got them all. But the way the UK show works, where you don't know if they're a traitor or not, they don't know that. They might have just voted out 2 faithfuls, and then Kelly would probably... They might have voted out Kelly. They might have mistrusted her and got rid of Kelly if this was the UK version. But as I say, they know that they've just got 2 traitors. They've got 4 traitors in the game before that. I think they're quite safe when they think, right, let's end the game with us 3. And also, Kelly was like a very obvious faithful. Like, I don't think anyone would have been suspicious of her. So maybe there's a chance she could have stayed in. But yeah, we get those as the final 3 voting to end the game and win together and get a share of the prize money, which works out as €14,300 each. And it was nice to see. It was nice to see the 3 of them win. And I did feel happy for them that they won. And like I say, someone like Oyen in particular, I've got a lot of respect for. Like, she has played this game brilliantly. She's been incredibly perceptive. She's been onto everything the traitors have done pretty much from day one. Yeah, I think this is a good 3 to have won. But I would say that, like, someone like Kelly, like I say, I'm very happy for her. She's relatively young. She's like 23. So it's great for her that she's won that money. And I like the fact that she was saying she's never had 5 figures in her bank account. So, like, it's really nice for her that she's got that money. But from a game point of view, from a TV show point of view, she's been one of the quieter characters, and she has been someone that's kind of coasted through the show without doing very much. both in like terms of entertainment value, but also in terms of strategy and playing the game. She hasn't actually done that much. I mean, Vanessa, I'll give props to Vanessa that she's had some heat on her and she's fought through it, so that's kind of admirable within the game. But yeah, Kelly's not done an awful lot, and she is kind of a brilliant example of those kind of players that just coast through the entire game untouched and somehow get into the final. And you can't help but slightly think that it's not really deserved that they've won. They've kind of just got lucky. Whereas like some people, like they've fought through a lot to get to the final. And it's like, yeah, fair play, you deserve the money. Like the UK season 4, the people that won UK season 4, I don't know why I'm like trying to keep it secret, everyone's watched it. But the people that won that, you're like, yeah, fair enough. You have gone through a lot to get there. Fair enough. But yeah, someone like Kelly, you've got lucky, really. You got lucky. Like I say, I do think Oyen, very, very good. And in terms of, like I've said before, I love clever faithfuls that can work out what's going on. And Oyen has been one of the best of that. Yeah, fair play to her. And like I say, Vanessa as well. I think she has gone through quite a lot in this game. A lot of emotional roundtables. She's fought through. She survived. I think that's admirable. But yeah, it is a little bit unfortunate about Kelly. But like I say, she's a very nice person. And I'm not saying she's not deserving of the money in general. But just in terms of the game, she's not done a lot in the game to have won that money, I'd argue. And someone like a Nick, I mean, he was a very strategic player. He's done some very clever things in the game. Maybe he would have been more deserving, for example. But that being said, I do think the Traitors kind of deserve to lose in this occasion because they made some wrong decisions at the end. I don't think Nick should have recruited Ben, to be honest. I think he should have recruited someone like Faye because he already had Ben on side anyway. I mean, what if he'd recruited like Oyen? That could have changed the game a lot for him. I think, yeah, the choice of recruiting Ben was wrong because he already had Ben on side. The choice of murdering Wilkin was wrong. They should have kept him in. He had a bit of suspicion on him. And the choice to kind of turn against Faye and not try harder to defend her and keep her in the game was also wrong. So I think those 3 decisions do kind of mean that like Nick kind of deserved to lose this, unfortunately, and he should have been a little bit cleverer with those decisions. But yeah, overall the series has been very, very good, and it's been a pleasant surprise. Actually, I didn't know what to think before I started it. Like I didn't know much about it. Yeah, it's been definitely worth watching. But like I say, when it comes to like the characters that I remember the most when we look at our cast, it's going to be Pordy. It's going to be like Andrew. Andrew only mainly because of his dad, to be fair. But Pordy, oh man, what an exciting like player to watch. And someone you can root behind, someone who's quite lovable. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame Pordy didn't make it. And those sort of 3 episodes of Eamon leaving, Caitlin leaving, Andrew leaving. What an incredible 3 episodes. Like that was better than quite a lot of the recent UK season, I would argue. Those 3 episodes. I think the season overall, like I say, once Pordy left, I lost a bit of engagement about it, lost a bit of excitement. So maybe the series overall, I don't know how maybe it's overall not as good as the most recent UK one, for example. I don't think the ending's as good. I was really pleased for the people who won the UK season. I wasn't as pleased for these 3. Like I say, I still think, yeah, no, it is nice to see them win, but I wanted Pordy to win, man. Pordy would have been brilliant. And I don't think he betrayed his son. I'd like to know what other people think about that. Did he betray his son or not? I don't feel like he did. He did maybe he did a little bit. But I just think that would have been entertaining. And if Pordy had won, he probably would have shared some money with his son, right? So, yeah, what a shame. But yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't know anything about if the show's commissioned for season 2, is it? But this has been definitely up there with the UK show. I think we've kind of discussed, there's been some like moments where it's been a little bit rough around the edges. You can kind of see that the budget for the missions is a bit lower. There's been some weird problems with camera angles and cinematography not being quite as good as the UK show. For example, in these final episodes, like I feel like I've never noticed the cameras in the round table room before, but in this they're very prominent in the centre of the table. You can see that circle in the centre of the table was slightly raised up and all the cameras are there. It just felt really obvious in this, and there's been a couple of times like that, like in the cars you can quite easily see the GoPros attached to the windows. There's just a few little things like that where it's, like I say, just a little rough around the edges. And maybe, hopefully this is done well, and it's going to have a bigger audience now. It's on iPlayer. Maybe they can just tweak some of those things for season 2, if there is a season 2. I hope there is, because like I say, what they have got right is the casting, the choice of the traitors, the drama. All of that has been absolutely brilliant, and it's been really, really fun to watch. There's been some really funny moments in it compared to the UK series. There's been some really dramatic moments. Some of these round tables have been so fiery, especially compared to the UK one, and more emotional. So all of that is brilliant. The drama of the actual show is brilliant, and there's just a few little tweaks just that they can improve. I don't know where I stand with Siobhan McSweeney as the host. Siobhan. I think she's good, but I just had started thinking in the back of my mind, I was like, how much better would this be if they had like Graham Norton, for example? That he would have elevated it a little bit more than Siobhan does. But I think Siobhan is good. I do like it, and I think she's done some. I like her costumes, what she wears. I think that's very dramatic and fun. But yeah, I just had a little niggle in the back of my mind where I was like, Graham Norton would have been good for this. Yeah, but overall, like I say, I've really, really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it way more than I thought I was going to. It's just a little bit of a shame that the middle part of the series was the best bit, for me at least, and then it's just got slightly more boring towards the end, and slightly disappointing finish. But those middle episodes, brilliant. Yeah, props to the producers for how that's all played out. And the fact we got a father and son traitor team, albeit very briefly, great. How exciting. But yeah, I did really enjoy this series. And like I say, I think there's a lot they can then do to make season 2 even better. So yeah, very, very good. And thank you for watching these watch-alongs. I know they've not been as popular as the UK series, but I hope more and more people do, take the recommendation and watch it, because it is really good. It is really, really good. I think it definitely, like I say, stands up there with the UK show. Not quite, it's got a little bit of improvement it can do, but in terms of the drama, brilliant. More people need to watch it. So yeah, thank you for watching, if you have stuck around with this. And now we're done with Traitors Ireland. The next thing is I have been rewatching Celebrity Traitors, the UK season. So they will be starting pretty much next week, I think, when you watch this. So yeah, only a week, and then we'll be reviewing every episode of the Celebrity Traitors for the next 9 weeks. So yeah, and that's been really fun. I forgot how good it was. Some of the episodes of that are brilliant. You can see why it's so popular. But yeah, come on, Traitors Ireland season 2, please happen, because this has been brilliant. But yeah, thank you for watching these, and I will see you in the next one.